Hi, I'm Stefan, and in this video I want to talk about PayPal. There are many sellers that sell digital goods that have issues with disputes and claims and do not know how to properly manage them and prevent them from happening. So in this video, I've decided to show you my ways of preventing and tackling disputes and claims, and also give you some personal insight from what I've seen in the cases I've had. So as a pretext, I want to give you some statistics of my dispute to, let's say, transaction ratio. I've had 600 plus transactions for digital goods on PayPal, selling licenses for Minecraft products I sell. So not the most risk-free market. And I've only had 4 disputes, out of which I won all of them. Disputes and claims, sorry. So first and foremost, let's start with how to prevent them. Preventing disputes from happening is the most important thing. So to do that, you have to do, let's say, 2 main things. A, have high quality products. Focus on giving your client something actually good. Because if you have good customer support and if you help your clients, you'll rarely ever see disputes. And if you see them, you'll be really good at solving them without even having the client escalate to a claim. That's one. And 2, have good product descriptions. Don't advertise something that you can do. You can show, you can give examples, and you can give some real life examples on how it may work. For example, on my product page, I say that my plugin used on a production Minecraft server with over 100 players on that sub-server has managed to improve performance by 40%, which is real. Yes, I gave a case where that happened. I gave a real life example, and I haven't said it can improve your performance up to 80%, since that is true, since up to 80% doesn't mean it'll always do up to 80%. But try to avoid this schemes to make people believe your product can do something that they can't, since that will lead to disputes. And while you may win some of them, you will lose a lot. A lot doesn't mean all of them, doesn't mean half of them, but if a quarter of your disputes get processed in the client's favor, you lose a ton of market, in my opinion. Okay, so that's how to prevent them. Now comes the part that's a little more complex, and that's the part where I explain how you can what you can do in case a client disputes, and then what to do in case a client claims something. So I'll go over the most usual reasons for people claiming your product isn't good, and those are item not received and unauthorized transaction. Also, people will dispute for product is not as advertised, and that's mostly it. So let's go over each. First and foremost, item not received. This one is really easy to tackle, since if the client so first, if he disputes, just go forward, and even if you gave him the license and you know he has the access to the product and even downloaded it, pretend he doesn't and try to help him to get access to that product. If he says I don't have access to the product, just be straightforward and ask him, where do you want me to send the product? What's your username on this platform on which I can add the license? How can I help you get this license? Do you want me to send you the product straight on this page? And so on. Try to help them. If they are genuine clients with genuine issues, they will be glad that you helped them, and just close the dispute right away. Okay, so one we've already tackled. Now comes the fakesters. The fakesters and the frauders. So the fraudsters will not back down, but once a client has made a dispute for item not received, but you've actually explain that you are willing to give them the possibility to have the product, and you're constantly trying to help them. Like, for example, if they say, I don't want this, I want the money back, you're saying, okay, I understand that you haven't received the product. Let me help you. Or if they come and say, I wanted this product right away, why can't you sell them? And then you say, sorry, yeah, we're sorry that it didn't go right away, but we're glad to help you now. And if you prove to the client and to people that you're professional and that you care for the client, that dispute is also won. Okay, so now we go to the claim part. If the client claimed something, and it's in the two cases I've explained, you'll win. PayPal will go in your favor. Why? Because you've tried to help them. You were kind enough to give them enough chances to work. And for example, for some of my clients that disputed, I've even gave them extra options as a way to make them happy. Most of them didn't really need it, so they said no. But the fact that you are willing to help your client and maybe do something from your own, like actually help them, even though that's not included in the service, PayPal will consider that as goodwill and will make you win. It's as simple as that. It's just, yeah, you will have to work more. Yeah, you will have to do more. So maybe this client isn't as profitable, but you will prevent future disputes from happening. You will improve your reputation, and also you will get way better reviews, which is really important on when selling digital goods and services. Okay. Now, if the fraudsters don't escalate straight to a claim, then that's also not hard to do. Explain to PayPal, since once you're at a claim level, you're not gonna talk to the client. The idea is for PayPal to judge who deserves the money, pretty much. So you can go and tell PayPal, have you tried to help the client and the ways he refused to? Since he's a fraudster, he doesn't want your product, he wants the money back. So you can explain, well, he didn't dispute, or he didn't contact me anywhere. I've tried to reach out to him via multiple platforms, judging by his user ID on the payment, but he hasn't reached back yet. I've tried multiple things to give the product to him, but he didn't respond. And if PayPal notices that a client doesn't actually want to solve the reason he's disputing, but actually wants his money back, they won't help him. So if somebody says the item is not received and you prove you want to give him the item back and you're actually giving him what he wants but he refuses, then it's clear it's a fraudster. PayPal will close in your favor. Okay, so we've just tackled item not received. Additionally, since item is not as described is also I think it's also cataloged as item not received, I'll explain how you can tackle this. Well, it's really easy. If the client disputes, you have to go through and talk to the client and ask him what is not as described. Ask him what is not as described. Maybe we can help you. Maybe there's a bug we didn't know that existed. And try to help the client with the issue. If the client comes back and says, I don't want the product fixed, I want the money back, then it's obvious once he said that, it's clear you'll win. If he claims straightforward, you can tell PayPal that everything is described as it is. If you use numbers that were tested on production and on actual live environments, and that you don't lie. And as long as you follow my tips on how to avoid getting disputes, then you'll win again. So yeah, we tackled two of them. Now comes the, let's say, hard part, and that's unauthorized transaction. The thing with unauthorized transaction is that it's mostly out of your possibility to deal with it. The only thing you can do is prove to PayPal that you've given them the product, which doesn't mean you'll win, but it means that you gave the product. So you have to give proof that you won the product. That you gave the product. You have to give the seller as much detail as you can as to prove that was actually a person. So if you can prove that the person purchasing is the person that is disputing, then that's enough, and it'll prove he's a fraudster. Again, he won't be able to do anything to you. So people will decide in your favor. So try to prove this. How can you do that? Well, first and foremost, logs. Prove that the person, for example, if he disputes on a platform that has the mail attached, you can say, well, he's disputing a product that was purchased on his own email. Or you can say that the client, I can see that at my seller dashboard that the client comes from America, which is from the state of Colorado, let's say, and that's exactly what says on the address for the product. So you can go over and do these things, and people will decide in your favor without asking anything. And of course, they have their own logs, and if it's a fake unauthorized transaction, so if it's from the same IP, it's of course gonna decide in your favor, and you'll win. But as for unauthorized transaction, this one is at least partially out of your possibility to deal with. And while I haven't lost any unauthorized transaction, since if I actually see that a child, let's say, stole a parent's credit card and purchased licenses with it, I'll refund the money. I'm not a douchebag. Plus, kids do this stuff, and it's not like a kid is gonna destroy my business model. So, yeah, I mean, try to be kind. Try to help your client. So try to actually give and do something for the amount. And if you believe that you're asking too few, if you're not asking too much for the clients to deserve this kind of treatment, raise your prices. PayPal is running a third world country, and that's where the targets are. They will judge you as a first world country seller, which is selling quality products, not quantity products. So try to prove that. It's simple, it's not hard. And avoid having too many disputes, since that can end up making your account get shut down pretty much, so suspended. And this is a big deal. So avoid that. I think this is mostly it. I've explained most of the ways in which you can prevent this from happening. I can try to see if I can give you an example with a client. I'll try to, well, I'll not try, I'll actually do it. I'll anonymize the client as much as possible, and I'll try to show you how I did it. So, for example, this person made a dispute on my plugin since he told me that he didn't receive it. And I said, hi, I'm sorry for the late response. Can you please PM me your Spigot username, Spigot being the platform on which he purchased the product, so I can double check if you were added to the buyers list. The process is handled automatically by Spigot MC, the third party handling Spigot.org. Spigotmc.org, but something may have gone wrong during the process. If you weren't added, I'll add you manually. So I've proven that I want to help him. And I said sorry for the inconvenience, and I signed my name. Okay, and then I've managed to find his username. I forgot that it was shown on the payment details, but whatever. I found the name, and I've said I've managed to find your username on Spigot. I've appended the username, which is also clearly shown on the transaction, so people can also show that in case he's a fraudster, and have added you to the and have added the license to your account manually. You'll be able to download the resource here, and then I've added a link to the resource. Simple as that. And then he said, okay, perfect, thank you, and I'm sorry for this problem. Problem solved without PayPal getting involved. This is simply a dispute. The client didn't mean anything bad. It was an error with the system. That may happen sometimes, and you can't stop that from happening, since automatic payments do sometimes break. And in that case, it's just as simple as adding your product manually. So now comes a fraudster, or at least a person that I believe is a fraudster. So the buyer says, the product I received is not as shown. And I ask him, can you please explain what's not as shown so I can fix that feature in? Thanks. The buyer then said that the plugin didn't come out as I wanted. I demand a return of my money, thanks. That's okay. Then I have said, and now I'm going to the professional side, and I'm trying to help him while also de-incriminating myself. So I've said, you have stated that the product you received is not as shown. Can you please show me which part of the product is not as advertised so I can modify that part of the product description and give you back your money? So also, again, try helping them. I signed myself. So then the buyer said, I saw no automatic cleaning. Not as expected, the systems are running a little slow and there's no automatic deletion. I appreciate if I could get the money back. And the client said, I think there's something wrong with a label setting. There's no label setting. And I said, automatic, and I've tried to explain how the thing goes. Even though I knew this guy was a fraudster, and it's clear because he doesn't want to work on solving the issue, and he's also giving false information. The systems are not running a little slow. I've benchmarked all my products on really, really big production networks, and they work fine. They work really fine in comparison to my competitors. And I have no label system, and the automatic system is configurable because some people may want it to work, some people may want to just prevent lag, and in that case I can just force them to use a feature they may not like. So I've said, automatic cleaning is done via the lag assist monitor, which you can configure. It is default set not to show any messages because lag assist is made to be silently maintaining the server without lag. If you want to show the message, you can. Just configure the plugin so the message shows up. Detection is done via the TPS system, so you can configure the max TPS for each of the settings, and each time the calling is done, it will execute the measures. I'm sorry, but I don't recall any label setting in lag assist. Can you specify exactly what you're referring to? So again, don't show that you are suspicious. Talk to the client as if he's innocent, even though you know he's a fraudster, and just do it. And he comes and says, dude, I can't use this on my server, not as I expected. Please remove the plugin. I want my money. And then I explain to him, Spiga doesn't allow sellers like me to remove purchasers from the buyers list, and everything is automatic. From what you've explained, the plugin's default configuration was not up to your liking, but lag assist includes an almost complete configuration from measures executed to what systems you want to enable and which you don't, thus being viable for both small and large networks. If you want, I offer you to give you a free configuration overview, and I can help you set it up. So again, I show you, I give the client the benefit of the doubt, and again I try to help him solve the issue. And he says, and I've explained, with that said, I'm sorry, but I can't refund your plugin due to it being advertised clearly and truthfully, and it working properly. If you need any more help, have questions, or want me to help you to configure the plugin free of charge, please send me a message here. Thanks. And again, I sign myself. And then he says, okay, dude, I want my money. I'm not satisfied. I don't want the adjustment. After returning my money, my authorization will be taken away. Which is true. It is true. If I refund the money, he'll get off the buyer's list. But the fact that he doesn't want the adjustment proves that he's a fraudster. Again, he's writing this with his own account while responding and making himself look like a douche. This is what you don't want to do as a buyer on PayPal. But this is what I'm putting him to. Since I'm really kind, he doesn't expect this kindness. He believes I'm gonna be mad and defensive since I know that he's a fraudster, and he knows I know that he's a fraudster. And the fact that I try to help him, even though I don't know that, it baffles him. And so he doesn't behave like he would need to get that back. So I explained that I want to offer a refund. The plugin works as described, and due to the digital nature of the product, it can be used or even redistributed after the license was revoked, which is true. The terms of service, which are included in the plugin description, clearly state that no refunds are given when the plugin works and it was designed and advertised as. You have stated that the product you received is not as shown, but you haven't been able to provide me details so I can pinpoint the issue you're having. I'm still up to the free configuration service. And again, I signed myself off. He gave me a video problem screenshot. It was fraud. So the video in question was him configuring the automatic lag clearing measure to run really, really fast. So it shows like something's broken. It's spamming my consoles or something. And the fact is, I knew how my product works. I mean, I've developed it. So I came and said, the lag monitor execution rate is configurable, and the issue you're having is a direct result of the timer being set to less than 20 ticks. The default in the plugin is 6000, but if you are noticing large amounts of lag, 1200 may be suited for your server. Please set that higher up to get rid of the issue you are showing in the video, or reset the configuration to be the default one set in the plugin. So again, I showed that he's trying to fake it. It's obvious he tries to fake it. He literally gives me a video of the problem after I've and shows an issue in configuration, which is not done by me, it's done by him, since the default configuration solves it. And I also explained that to him and to PayPal, since remember, you're speaking to the client, you're speaking to the second person, but PayPal is like a eagle watching from above. So be ready to try to also give information to PayPal when you're answering to the client. And the guy said, dude, I don't want to deal with anything like that. I want my money. And then I said, I'm sorry, but the plugin does what it advertised by default, and the problem you say you're having is strictly a result of you misconfiguring the plugin. I've explained how to fix the issue that you caused yourself, and I even offered help to configure the plugin for free. As stated in the plugin's description, I do not offer refunds in case the plugin works as it was designed to. The product is working as intended and as advertised, and as such you won't be offered any refund. And he says, for my survival server, I want you to make a complete adjustment. Everything is active so as to minimize lag. I think you can do that. And then I ask him additional things like his Minecraft version and whatever, so I can do what he says. And then I send him the thing. So I send him the paste bin. And then I ask him if he's been satisfied after a while. Like 3 days pass, and I've asked him, have you been satisfied with the configuration file I made for you? And he says, oh no, I'm getting a version error. Then I ask him, can you please show me the version error? And then, guess what? They've closed this case in my favor. People looked around, saw that this guy was bullshitting, and gave me back my money. And yeah, and the final tip, which I've just remembered, is don't back down. If somebody does something that's not okay to you, like let's say he disputes something you've actually worked on doing, or a client tries to fraud, fight on that. If he disputes because he wants to purchase the product back to make you forcefully have to support him, since I've had an enterprise client, a client that actually earned probably more than 1,000 a month from what he did, and the plugin was only $5 at that moment. So the person came to me and he purchased my plugin. Then he left bad reviews and disputed the plugin. Then I had to go to him on private, ask him what the issue was. He initially it was an actual issue. The plugin wasn't working, so I understood. The review was appropriate. I kinda deserved it since it was my fault. I didn't test it. It was due to my laziness, and I kinda understand that. I don't really care, but whatever. It was my fault, so I'm not gonna deny that. So I was fine with that. In the end, I've refunded the product since he was yeah, it was my fault, and the guy actually purchased the product again. So purchased the product again, but this time he had an issue with configuration. So the guy came and disputed again, and purchased it one more time. So he was going through a cycle of buy, dispute, and ask for support, buy again, and ask for support, and so on. And I did it one time, and when I said that he continues doing this, it was pretty clear that the guy was actually faking it. And guess what? I've earned an additional payment since I've won the dispute. And I've won the dispute since it was clear that if the product was as bad as he said, then he wouldn't have purchased it multiple times. I've made sure to tell people that he disputed in the past, and I've refunded it, his payment myself, since it was my fault. You have to understand that if you do something wrong, you need to understand it's your fault. Yeah, everyone does mistakes. You need to be able to correct them and to deal with them. You don't have to run from them or deal like a child trying to blame somebody else, since that's not gonna work and it's not something professional. Try to actually help your client. Don't be a douche. With this, I've made this video 25 minutes, and I think that's enough to explain to everybody how you can win disputes. I hopefully made this video since I've seen no other video on YouTube or on PayPal or on any other platform, sorry, which explains how you can win disputes. So pretty much it's what PayPal asks you to do. Be kind with the client, try to help them, and don't be a douche and start complaining that the client isn't doing that, isn't doing this, that it's the client's fault. Try to help them, even if you know it's the client's fault or if he's a fraudster. Since PayPal realizes that they're not as bad, and they do side with the buyer. But if the buyer's a fraudster, obviously they'll side with you. You need to have the same policies as PayPal. Side with the buyer. But if somebody's is a fraud, prevent that. Yeah, that's it. I think it's not that big of a deal, and I think you can do that. I've even gone forward and well, no, that was a big time ago and it was on a different PayPal account. But whatever. This is my summary of how you can win disputes. And I hope you have a good way transacting and doing your other daily business. So yeah, have a nice day and good luck selling.